Don't go to a restaurant until you watch this. What if I told you that some of the most popular restaurant chains in the UK have food hygiene ratings so bad that 1 in 3 of their locations failed their latest inspections? I'm talking about national chains you see on every high street. Restaurants where cockroaches were found swarming the kitchen, where mouse droppings were mixed in with the food, and where inspectors discovered expired ingredients being served to customers. If you're over 60, this isn't just disgusting, it's dangerous. Your immune system can't fight off food poisoning the way it used to. One bad meal could put you in the hospital for weeks. In this video, I'm breaking down 6 types of restaurants in the UK that you need to avoid. From fried chicken shops where 1 in 10 fail inspections to kebab houses that scored 0 for food safety. Stay with me, because number 3 has over 800 locations that fail their hygiene checks. Number 6. Kebab shops have the worst hygiene record in the country. Let me start with number 6, and this one's backed up by hard data. Kebab shops have the worst food hygiene ratings of any type of restaurant in the UK. 31% of them score below satisfactory standards. That's almost 1 in 3. Think about that for a second. If you walk into 3 random kebab shops, one of them has hygiene problems serious enough that inspectors gave them a failing grade. And it's not just small independent places. This is a nationwide problem. In Wigan, kebab shops have an average rating of just 2.38. That's barely above urgent improvement necessary. In some areas of London, the numbers are even worse. What are inspectors finding? Mouse droppings in food preparation areas. Expired meat is being served to customers. Staff are not washing their hands properly. Cooking equipment covered in grease and grime that hasn't been cleaned in weeks, maybe months. In January 2022, a kebab shop in Enfield was fined after inspectors found it overrun by cockroaches and rats. A customer spotted a cockroach and reported it to the council. When officers arrived, they found the premises swarming with live cockroaches within minutes. Not just a few, swarming. The owner admitted to 15 food safety offences. The local council tweeted, "We think you should only see this many cockroaches on I'm a Celebrity, not in a kebab shop." For seniors, eating at a place like this isn't just unpleasant, it's genuinely dangerous. Cockroaches carry bacteria like Salmonella, E. coli, and pathogens that cause dysentery. When they crawl over food preparation surfaces, they're contaminating everything. And here's what makes it worse. Kebab meat sits on those vertical spits for hours, slowly rotating and cooking. If the temperature isn't maintained properly, if the meat doesn't reach the right internal temperature throughout, bacteria survive. And when you eat that meat, you get sick. Another case in Sheffield. A kebab shop called Adnan's Fried Chicken dropped from a food hygiene rating of 1 to 0. Inspectors found mouse droppings and mold on the premises. They discovered high-risk foods like mayonnaise stored at temperatures over 8 degrees, which creates perfect conditions for harmful bacteria to multiply. Despite the 0 rating, the shop remained open and continued serving customers. People kept ordering from them because they didn't know about the rating, or they didn't care, or they thought it couldn't be that bad. But it is that bad. When inspectors give a 0 rating, they're telling you that eating there poses a serious risk to your health. For someone in their 60s or 70s, with reduced stomach acid that normally helps kill bacteria, with an immune system that doesn't respond as quickly, that risk is even higher. Number 5. Fried chicken shops, where 1 in 10 fail inspections. Number 5 is about fried chicken shops, and the statistics here are shocking. 1 in 10 fried chicken shops in the UK failed their latest food hygiene inspection. The average rating across all fried chicken establishments is just 3.91, which is barely above satisfactory. There are over 1,000 individual brands of fried chicken shops in the UK. We're talking about Dixie Chicken, Chicken Cottage, KFC, and hundreds of smaller independent shops, and the failure rate among them is consistently high. In Bolton, fried chicken shops have an average rating of just 2.69. In Birmingham, 10% of fried chicken places scored 1 or lower. In Redbridge, they have the worst food hygiene ratings for fried chicken in all of London. What's going wrong? Fried chicken shops have massive volumes going through their kitchens. They're trying to cook and serve food as fast as possible, especially during busy lunch and dinner rushes. And when speed becomes the priority, hygiene suffers. Inspectors find raw chicken stored next to cooked chicken, which causes cross-contamination. They find cooking oil that hasn't been changed in days, turning rancid and carcinogenic. They find staff handling raw chicken and then touching other food without washing their hands or changing gloves. In Birmingham alone, 11 establishments were handed 0-star ratings in 2024, and several of them were fried chicken shops. One place called One UK's Fried Chicken on Kitts Green Road got a 0 rating. Inspectors found conditions so bad that they required urgent improvement across multiple categories. For seniors, eating undercooked chicken or chicken contaminated by poor hygiene practices can cause severe food poisoning. Salmonella and Campylobacter are the main culprits, and they're found in 73% of shop-bought chicken, according to recent studies. The symptoms hit hard: violent vomiting, diarrhea that doesn't stop, stomach cramps so intense you can barely stand up. And for someone with a weakened immune system, these bacteria can enter your bloodstream and cause sepsis, which is life-threatening. Even if the chicken is cooked properly, if the kitchen is dirty, if the preparation surfaces are contaminated, if staff aren't following proper hygiene protocols, you're at risk. And with 1 in 10 fried chicken shops failing inspections, those risks are higher than most people realize. Number 4. Chicken Cottage, where 21% failed hygiene standards. Here's number 4, and this one's about a specific chain that's all over the UK, Chicken Cottage. 21% of their restaurants were found to have unsatisfactory hygiene standards. More than 1 in 5 locations failed their inspections. According to Food Standards Agency data, 25 Chicken Cottage restaurants scored 2 or below, meaning they required major improvements or urgent attention. Out of 117 stores across the UK, that's a massive failure rate for a national chain. 12 locations were found to require major improvements. One store on Finchley Road in North London was found to need urgent attention, meaning it got a 0 rating. The CEO of Chicken Cottage told reporters he was disappointed that a percentage of their restaurants fell below standards. Disappointed, not horrified, not ashamed, disappointed. It was like a minor inconvenience rather than a serious public health issue. What bothers me most about chains like this is the inconsistency. You might go to one Chicken Cottage and have a perfectly fine experience. The food's hot, the place looks clean, everything seems okay. Then you go to another location 2 miles away and you're eating food from a kitchen that failed its inspection. You have no way of knowing which locations are safe and which ones aren't unless you specifically check the Food Standards Agency website before you go. And how many people actually do that? For seniors who often eat at familiar chains because they trust the brand name, this inconsistency is dangerous. And how many people actually do that? For seniors who often eat at familiar chains because they trust the brand name, this inconsistency is dangerous. You think you're making a safe choice by going to a restaurant you recognize, but the name on the sign doesn't guarantee anything about what's happening in the kitchen. The Food Standards Agency bases ratings on how hygienically food is handled, the condition of the building's structure and cleaning, and how the business manages food safety. When a place like Chicken Cottage fails across these categories, it means they're not just having a bad day, they have systemic problems in how they operate. And for you as a customer, especially if you're older and more vulnerable to foodborne illness, eating at a place with those kinds of problems is playing Russian roulette with your health. Number 3. Chinese takeaways, with over 800 failures. Number 3 is about Chinese takeaways, and the scale of the problem here is staggering. Over 800 Chinese takeaways in the UK failed their latest food safety inspections. That's the highest number of failures for any single cuisine type. 9% of Chinese restaurants and takeaways are operating with ratings below satisfactory standards, and in some areas, the percentage is even higher. In parts of London, 1 in 4 Chinese restaurants has hygiene problems. Why is this happening? Chinese takeaways often operate on extremely thin profit margins. They're trying to keep prices low to compete with each other and with other types of takeaways, so they cut costs wherever they can. And sometimes that means cutting corners on cleanliness, on staff training, on proper food storage. Inspectors commonly find issues with temperature control. Hot food was not kept hot enough, cold food not kept cold enough. That middle temperature zone between 5 and 60 degrees Celsius is where bacteria multiply fastest, and a lot of Chinese takeaways are keeping food in exactly that danger zone. They also find problems with how food is stored. Raw ingredients mixed with cooked ingredients. Allergens are not properly labeled or separated. Expired sauces and oils are being used past their safe date. Cross-contamination is another huge issue. The same cutting boards and knives are being used for raw meat and vegetables without proper cleaning in between. Staff touching multiple types of food without changing gloves. Preparation surfaces are not being sanitized between different dishes. For seniors with weakened digestive systems, eating food contaminated by these practices can cause serious illness. Your stomach acid isn't as strong as it used to be, which means bacteria that a younger person's body might kill off can survive in your system and make you very sick. And here's something else that worries me. Monosodium glutamate, or MSG, is commonly used in Chinese cooking. For most people, it's harmless. But for some seniors, especially those with high blood pressure or heart conditions, it can cause headaches, flushing, rapid heartbeat, and chest pain. When you combine that with food from a restaurant with poor hygiene standards, you're doubling your risk of having a bad reaction. Number 2. Pizza Go-Go, where 1 in 5 locations failed. Number 2 is about Pizza Go-Go, and this is another chain with a serious problem. 1 in 5 Pizza Go-Go restaurants had unacceptably high failure rates when inspected by the Food Standards Agency. That's a 20% failure rate for a national chain that operates dozens of locations across the UK. Customer reviews for Pizza Go-Go tell a disturbing story. Multiple people report getting food poisoning after eating there. One family in Colville said they ordered chicken items, and all 6 family members were seriously ill for 3 days afterward. They phoned management to report it, and the manager was rude and tried to gaslight them into believing it wasn't the restaurant's fault. Another customer reported receiving burnt pizza that tasted like old, cancelled orders had been reheated and sent out. They said the pizza tasted sour, like it had gone bad, and they ended up with a bad stomach later that night. Someone else reported that the restaurant they visited wasn't hygienic at all, with staff not wearing gloves while handling toppings, talking and eating while preparing food, and the shop being very, very dirty. These aren't isolated incidents. When you look at the pattern of complaints and the official hygiene ratings, it's clear that Pizza Go-Go has quality control problems across multiple locations. For seniors, pizza might seem like a safe choice. It's familiar, it's cooked at high temperatures. What could go wrong? But if the ingredients are stored improperly, if the dough is made in unsanitary conditions, if the toppings are contaminated by poor handling, that pizza can make you seriously sick. Cheese and meat toppings are particularly risky. If mozzarella isn't stored at the right temperature, it becomes a breeding ground for listeria, which is extremely dangerous for people over 65. If pepperoni or sausage toppings aren't cooked to the right internal temperature, they can contain bacteria that survive even after the pizza comes out of the oven. And cross-contamination is a huge issue in pizza restaurants. The same work surfaces are used to prepare multiple pizzas, one after another. If someone orders a pizza with raw vegetables and the staff doesn't properly clean the surface before making the next pizza with cooked meat, you're getting bacteria transferred from one order to another. Number 1. Subway, with 20 locations, failing inspections. And here's number 1. And this one's going to surprise a lot of people. Subway, one of the biggest sandwich chains in the world, has 20 locations in the UK that failed their latest food hygiene inspections. That's more failing locations than any other major chain in the country. Let that sink in for a second. Subway markets itself as the fresh, healthy alternative to other fast food. They talk about fresh baked bread, fresh vegetables, and made-to-order sandwiches. But they have 20 stores that couldn't meet basic food safety standards. The issues inspectors find vary by location, but common problems include improper food storage, inadequate temperature control, poor staff hygiene practices, and dirty preparation areas. In one London location on South Norwood High Street, the rating dropped to 4 stars. Another branch in Morden scored just 3 stars. These aren't 0 ratings that get immediate attention and urgent action. These are mid-range failures that suggest ongoing problems that aren't being addressed. What makes Subway particularly concerning is how they handle cold ingredients. Unlike fried chicken or pizza that gets cooked at high temperatures and kills most bacteria, Subway serves a lot of ingredients cold. Lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, all sitting in those metal bins behind the counter for hours. If those ingredients aren't kept at the proper cold temperature, bacteria multiply. If staff don't wash their hands properly between handling different ingredients, cross-contamination happens. If the bins aren't cleaned regularly, biofilms develop where bacterial colonies grow and contaminate every new batch of vegetables added to the bin. For seniors with compromised immune systems, eating a contaminated salad or sandwich can cause severe gastroenteritis. E. coli from unwashed lettuce, salmonella from contaminated tomatoes, listeria from improperly stored cheese or deli meats. And here's something a lot of people don't think about. Subway employees are often young, part-time workers earning minimum wage. They might not have proper food safety training. They're rushed during busy periods. They're handling cash and credit cards, then immediately touching food without washing their hands. When you combine inadequate training, high staff turnover, pressure to serve customers quickly, and 20 locations failing hygiene inspections, you have a recipe for food safety disasters waiting to happen. The sad reality is that Subway's brand reputation makes people trust it without question. You see the logo, you assume it's safe, and you order your sandwich without even thinking about checking their hygiene rating. And that trust might be completely misplaced depending on which location you walk into. So here's the bigger question. Why do these problems keep happening? It comes down to a few things. First, England doesn't require restaurants to display their food hygiene ratings. In Wales and Northern Ireland, it's mandatory. Every restaurant has to put their rating sticker where customers can see it. That transparency forces businesses to maintain higher standards because nobody wants to advertise that they got a 1 or 0 rating. But in England, restaurants can hide bad ratings, and most of them do. Studies show that only 2/3 of businesses in England display their ratings, and you can bet the ones not displaying them are the ones with low scores. Second, there's no mandatory requirement for businesses to be re-inspected within a specific time frame. A restaurant can fail an inspection, get told to make improvements, and then not get checked again for months or even years, depending on how overwhelmed the local council's inspection team is. Third, the penalties for food safety violations aren't severe enough to make businesses take them seriously. Fines are relatively small compared to the revenue these chains make, so there's not enough financial incentive to prioritize hygiene over speed and profit. And fourth, staffing problems across the entire food service industry mean restaurants are operating with skeleton crews of poorly trained, overworked employees who don't have time to follow proper hygiene protocols, even if they know what they should be doing. All of these factors create a perfect storm where food safety failures become common and customers like you end up being the ones who suffer the consequences. Look, I'm not saying you can never eat at these types of restaurants again, but I am saying you need to be way more careful and way more informed about where you're eating. Before you order from any restaurant or takeaway, go to ratings.food.gov.uk and look up their hygiene rating. It takes 30 seconds. If they've got a 3 or below, don't eat there. It's that simple. For seniors especially, food safety isn't something you can afford to ignore. One bad meal could put you in the hospital. Is saving a few quid or the convenience of a quick takeaway worth that risk? Check the ratings. Choose restaurants with 5s. Protect your health. And if this video helped you, share it with friends and family who need to know this information. Drop a comment about your experiences and hit subscribe for more videos about staying safe and healthy. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.